history back to life. We fight in this haunted realm. We stand and ignite. Unearthed relics, secrets unfold. Through ancient echoes, tales retold. A death with spirits, a twisted fate. We chase the darkness, it's never too late. Through the dust, the breath we sense. In this realm, it's all intense. Searching the portal of the paranormal, we delve deep. In shadows thick, where data creeps. Bring the history back to life. We fight in this haunted realm. We stand and ignite. Through the dust, the breath we sense. In this realm, it's all intense.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of PTTP Paranormal UnCut. I hope everyone is doing well. Another great guest joining us tonight, Emily Paranormal. I've been watching Emily for a little while, doing her lives on Facebook. She had a great investigation the other day. She went to a place called Mannequin Hall, and it looked awesome. We'll have a chat with her about her journey into the paranormal, how she got involved in it, and as always, we just go with the flow. Before I do bring Emily on, just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to Abby. She has been a loyal supporter of Portal to the Paranormal from the day that we started. And I learned today she's been rushed into hospital quite unwell. So we just want to send our love out to Abby, and we hope that you make a full recovery and we see you soon on one of our future events. But what I'm going to do is bring Emily on, and we are going to find out about her journey and see what happens. So let's bring her on. Hey, Emily, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, just want to say hi to Nick. I hope Abby's doing well, mate, and she makes a fast recovery, pal. So let's kick this off. So as I said, I've been watching your lives over the last couple of weeks, Mannequin Hall the other day, and it was just you seem to have a really good time when you're doing your investigations. But what I want to do is kick this back to how this all started. Like, how did you get involved in the paranormal?
From a really young age, I was interested in like ghost stories. I used to go to the library and get books about sort of local ghosts and legends and myths and that sort of thing. It was something I was always interested in. But the main thing that started off was my grandmother died when I was 13. And 2 weeks after she passed away, I was asleep in bed. I woke up, sat up in bed and saw her at the bottom of my bed. When I saw her, though, she was very young, not how I would actually recognise her, but I knew it was her, if that makes sense. She was sort of very young in an army uniform, and she had sort of curly hair, and I only remember her as an old lady. I can't really remember her much before that. But I felt sort of warmth and love from her, and I wasn't scared at all. I laid down, went back to sleep, and when I woke up in the morning, I sort of remembered what I'd seen, and then I thought, did I see that? Was I dreaming? Was I not dreaming? If I did see her, how was that possible? And from there on, that sort of sparked a huge interest in, is there an afterlife, and can you see ghosts, and can they communicate, and is it real? So I just carried on researching from there on. Just always been interested.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny you say that from an early age, experience having your grandmother, seeing an apparition of her, and the fact that she didn't look the way you remember her. Because I had a similar experience before I got into the paranormal. I didn't really believe in it. And then I had my grandfather, he walked into the front room clear as day, but he wasn't the old man that I and I
Yeah,
say this with respect, just in case he's looking down on me. But he
yeah,
wasn't the person that I remember because, when he passed away, he was the older, he was the younger version. So it made
yeah.
me think, when people pass over, do they get to choose to present themselves when they felt that the best way they wanted to? So they go back to their younger
Yeah.
selves. What's your thoughts on that? Having that experience with
Um,
your grandmother.
yeah, I think people. My perception of it is that people go back to a time perhaps when they were sort of at their happiest,
Hmm.
possibly, because I mean, I've only ever seen that one full-bodied apparition. I've seen some shadow figures and things like that, but I've never ever seen another solid full-bodied apparition. But when you hear other people that have seen the full-bodied apparitions, they're never sort of really ill-looking old people. Usually it's all, if a medium sees something, it's, I can see a man, he's got a beard and a flat cap and he's looking, that they always look okay.
Hmm.
Whereas quite a few people, when they pass over, they don't look very good.
No.
So I'm believing that they must go back to a time when they felt happy and comfortable.
No, no, definitely. Because that's one of the things that really sparked my interest, was like how he presented himself to me.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, he was always a dapper person, but the younger
yeah,
version of him, I never really remembered him as a younger version
yeah.
because of that. And have you experienced, like, the other thing that I've learned along the way? For example, for me personally, I went through a bad spell with my health, and I kept having
Right.
this sense of the smell that he was around me. Do you think, like, we say when people pass on, they choose to either stay or they go to another place? Do you think that they
Yeah.
can come backwards and forwards, like when we need them the most, maybe?
I think so. I think a loved one can be around you at a certain time in your life whenever they need to be. That's what I believe. I mean, obviously, none of us will ever know for sure.
And
It is all what we believe or what we want to believe. But I do think that, like your loved ones or your spirit guides, and that they come at a certain time in your life when you need them there.
no, no, definitely.
Definitely.
And then going into, you've had your experience, so you've delved into the paranormal, becoming a paranormal investigator. What way did you go about learning the ropes, and, what best way fitted the way you want to investigate?
So with the investigations is something I'd wanted to do for a long, long time, but it was one of those things that, I mean, family and everything got in the way. So it took me a long time to get into investigations. And then when I wanted to go out, I was worried that I'd go out with an events company that wanted to maybe fabricate things.
Definitely.
So I actually followed a page, and there's an author, Mark Edgerton. He wrote a book, The Haunted History of Huntingdonshire. I was following his page, and he put a competition out to say that he wants, 3 people would be drawn from a hat, and they would go out on an investigation with his private team. And I was lucky enough to be picked,
Cool.
and I went out with him, and he taught me sort of what the basics of what I need to do. I'm still with that group now.
Oh, that's cool.
Brilliant little group, nice private group. And from there on, I went out with some other teams, different teams, to learn all the just different methods, the way different people worked. And I still like to do that now, because you can never learn enough, and there is no set technique to use. So it's nice to learn different techniques from different people and then use them, see if they resonate with you. If they don't, that's fine. If they do, great, and you can use them.
Yeah, and when it comes to techniques, there's so many different ways that we can do it, and I think a lot of people get into that. They get stuck into that controversial area where this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. You know,
Yeah.
do you think investigating is based on the person as an individual, the way they like to do it, or do you think there is a certain way that we need to be investigating to get good evidence?
No, I think the only one thing I think everyone has to do and should do is investigate with respect to spirit and respect to each other.
Hmm.
If you've got the respect for spirit and the respect for the other people you're working with, then anything else goes. Basically, there is no right and wrong. Some things work for some people, some don't. No one's doing anything wrong. However you investigate, it's not wrong. It's just the way you choose to do it. As long as respect is always there.
It's like, because when we go out to investigate, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, a lot of people base it on what they see on TV. And when you watch
Yeah,
TV, let's be honest, something's happening every 3 seconds. But
yeah,
then you could be
exactly.
in a location for up to 12 hours and literally get nothing
Yeah,
at all. So you got to sort of
yeah,
fill that time, haven't you? So the way we like to go into it, we like to encourage people to have a laugh, tell stories, and
yeah.
build. One, I believe it builds up energy, but two, it sort of shows the relaxed side of the paranormal, because it doesn't need to be all serious, does it? Like just sitting there, don't do anything,
Oh
don't
no,
laugh. You sort of got to break it up,
no.
haven't you?
Yeah, well, if you've seen my lives, you'll know that we certainly do that.
But you definitely had a good
Yeah, I
time at
think
Mannequin Hall earlier in the week, didn't you? It was
we did. We
it
did.
was
Yeah,
a good laugh.
yeah. We had a crowning ceremony. I was crowned responsible adult. I'm not quite sure how that fits me, but one of us had to be a responsible adult. So yeah, but I think building energy is really important, and I think if you all went and sat in a room quiet, obviously there's times when you're quiet, when you're left to spirit, but in between, I think if you all sit there really, really quiet, the energy becomes very low, and you can become very bored very
Yeah.
quickly. So it's good to have a bit of banter, a bit of a laugh, and yeah, I end up singing, which is not good.
But what we find as well, and I'm not sure if you found this, we've got into conversations about what's been going on, telling stories about the location, and then suddenly stuff
Yeah,
starts happening in the background, like you'll start hearing
yeah,
footsteps. It's like we did an
yeah,
investigation at Fort Widley, and it's the underground forts in Portsmouth.
right,
And we were talking, and then we started hearing whistles coming down from the tunnel. So we started whistling
yeah.
back, and we were getting responses. But
Wow,
initially, we started delving away from the investigation because it was really quiet. And I
yeah,
think sometimes they purposely do it to say, well, actually, we are here.
yeah,
Don't forget, you are
absolutely,
here to try and communicate with us.
yeah.
But is there a moment in your investigations that sticks out to you as one of your highlights of evidence, or something that's happened whilst out on an investigation?
Yeah, I mean the most intelligent activity I've ever had to date is at the Doll's House in the Isle of Sheppey,
Mhm.
and that I still in my head to this day still try and debunk it. So I have a REM pod.
Yeah,
It's got the different coloured lights that come down, um, and the closer spirit goes, and obviously like a normal REM pod, but then the lights go down further and
yeah,
change colour, and we'd put it on the top of the stairs, and we had some activity on the top of the stairs when we'd been a previous time. So we put the REM pod back there, and it went off, and I got quite excited because that's the first time that device, and the only time that device has ever gone off.
mm,
And we got excited because it went off. So then I said to Spirit, "Can you take it down to green?" And it did. "Can you take it to purple?" And it went to purple. "Take it to blue?" It
wow,
went to blue. And I was like, "Oh my god, no! This what's happening? That's not right." And then we said, "Right, take it to a colour for so many seconds," and it did that. And then we decided, in the team, each one of us would hold our hand behind our back with a number of fingers out and ask Spirit to count the amount of fingers. And every single one of us, it got us all right, and the amount of fingers, and no one else could see, and we were like, "Oh my, how is this right?" There was dolls all the way up the stairs as well, and we said, "Right, beep the REM pod for the amount of dolls up the stairs," and we didn't even know because there was loads.
yeah,
And I think it beeped like 32 times, and we went and counted them, and there was 32. We're like,
wow.
it was too intelligent. It's like, how can this be real? And to this day, I still think, how can that be real? But that is the most intelligent activity I've ever had.
Wow. And do you know what? To get the beeps, and then it corresponds to the amount of dolls that are in the house
Yeah,
as well. That
yeah,
that's that is amazing. Because
it was.
again, we can step into the controversial world of equipment. A lot of people say equipment doesn't work.
Yeah,
A lot of people. But sometimes when you do get those direct responses and you can't
Yeah.
debunk it, you know,
Hmm.
it's quite hard to say, well, no, actually, the equipment does work.
Yeah.
But would you find that what we find when we get stuff that we think is paranormal, we always look into it like, what's the reason? Could it be in a
Oh yeah.
light? Could it be, you know,
Always.
we find as paranormal investigators, we spend more of our time trying to debunk the work that we do.
Yeah.
So we know, because you got to keep that level head, haven't you? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you get
Definitely.
overexcited, and then
Yeah.
before you know it, every little thing you're saying paranormal, paranormal. But that's not the
Exactly.
case, is it?
Yeah. No. No. We do debunk everything as as much as we can, and then even when you've debunked to the point you can't debunk anymore, and it's paranormal. That doesn't necessarily mean it's spirit. It just means paranormal is unexplained, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't explain how it happened. So yeah, but we do try and debunk even sort of weeks after, like now with the one at the doll's house. I still think I know radios can set off REM pods, like CB radios thing and walkie talkies. So I think, well, was someone next door? Did they have a walkie talkie? But then I thought, how could it go down to the right amount of colours and right
Mm.
colour? So, if it was just a normal REM pod that just beeps once, it could have been something from next door affecting it. But then we just tried so many ways of debunking, and we still can't think of anything to debunk that.
Wow. It is great when you can't debunk it because,
Oh yeah.
again,
Yeah.
people don't realize sometimes that we do spend a lot of our time trying to find logical reasonings
Yeah.
behind when we get stuff. You know, you got to think about
Yeah.
the atmosphere around you. You know,
Yeah.
the conditions and everything. I
Yeah.
just wanted to quickly pause. Abby's just joined us. This was Abby that's been in hospital this evening. Thank you so much
Oh.
for still coming in and showing your support, Abby. I hope you're feeling better, and I hope Nick's looking after you. I hope he's doing a good job for
Oh.
you, Abby.
Oh.
So yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you for her to join in
Oh.
still. But yeah, so with equipment then for you, is there a particular piece that you're most fond on using? What's your favourite piece of equipment to use?
I do like using spirit board because I think the information that you get from a spirit board is something you can write down and then go away and investigate and research. So names, dates. You can go back and just do so much research. We did have some names and dates come through Whittlesea Museum nearby to where I live. We went away and did some research, and it turns out it was the three names that we got and the dates that we got all corresponded with a murder in the town, but it was only, I think, about 15 years ago, 10 or 15 years ago. But it's strange how we got like all three names and the date through, and it all corresponded, and none of us were aware of that murder. It was, it's something none of us knew about. So it's really interesting that with that, rather than just getting a beep or a flash or a yes or a no, you've got things that you can go take away and research.
Yeah. With the spirit board as well, this initially, because I've looked into the spirit board, because again, there's so many different things about what people say.
Yeah.
And with the spirit board, you've got the planchette, you put your fingers on it ever so lightly, you know.
Yeah.
But people were saying that it's us using the spirit board that's pushing the
Yeah.
planchette. But then I've come up with the theory. What about if it's actually spirit that's making us push the planchette?
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Because a lot of people are quick to say you're a planchette pusher. It's
Yeah.
you manipulating it to get the response that you want.
Yeah.
But then I've looked at it, sometimes it's like the other way we do it. We tend to put our fingers the opposite way round,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. That's
it's
what
not
we
as
do
easy.
on the side or something. Yeah. Yeah.
But then when you're getting the responses and it looks like you are pushing it, because sometimes it does look like someone's pushing it. But then I've
Yeah.
started thinking, what about if that is spirit or something,
Yeah.
making you move the planchette? Do you think that could be the case?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people talk about the idiomotor effect, where our bodies, because our heart is beating, our bodies are moving, even though it's so minuscule. So when
Yeah.
you put your finger on the planchette, it is going to move because you are moving, even though you can't really see it. But my theory with that is I understand that, and I understand that we are moving very, very slightly. But if that's the case, how come I've sat for hours with my finger on a planchette and it's not moved at all? So, there's sometimes when you'll sit there for ages with 4 of you on the board, it doesn't
And nothing
move at
happens.
all. Yeah.
It's true.
So if the ideomotor effect sort of was a valid reason for the planchette moving, then it would move every time, and it would maybe move and not make sense, not make any words up.
Mm.
But yeah, I think spirit could possibly, rather than moving the planchette, there they may use us to move it, possibly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So again, it's something we'll never know.
But that's the thing. And then the darker side of using the Ouija board or the spirit board, is that we're not actually connecting with any kind of spirit. We're actually connecting with something demonic that plays games and uses us to give answers, but is not the person that we're really speaking to. Do you think that is possible as well? Or do you believe that you are connecting with a real spirit or something demonic? Or do you believe in demonic entities?
um I wouldn't say I don't believe in them, but I've never come across anything demonic. I've come across like grumpy spirits, but like grumpy people. There's grumpy and angry people in life, and there is in spirit. I've never come across demonic yet, so I don't know if I believe in it or not. But with spirit boards, I think I only see it as a tool of communication, no different to using a pendulum or anything else. I don't see it as any, like, I don't see why you would get a demon or something through a spirit board, but then you wouldn't through scrying or using a pendulum or something else. It to me, it's just, they're all just tools of communication.
No, no, definitely. And again, with the spirit board, people are very against it. Do you think it's because of the Hollywood scenes and the way they portray, the Ouija? Because the first time it was presented to me, the first thing I thought of, have you ever seen the film Ouija? And it's about a group
Yeah,
that they do the Ouija board, but then when you look through the eye of it, you see a woman and she's got her mouth sewn up and everything.
yeah,
And it
I
sort
have.
of
Yeah,
sends the wrong perception to the paranormal, doesn't it? Because you get
definitely.
the people that are really into it, like us. We do a
Yeah.
lot. We investigate a lot of locations, but then you get the other people that think because they've seen the films,
Hmm.
that's what we're going into. But it really
Yeah.
isn't like that, is it? The actual
No.
paranormal industry or the field is actually quite lovely because you can get really, really magical moments where things happen that you don't expect, but it's actually quite a warming feeling. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Spirit boards are just, I think they've just been like made to sound scary. All the films that have spirit boards or Ouija boards in them are all scary horror movies. There's never a nice one where they get through to Auntie Sarah or something. And it's a lovely communication session. It's always scary and demonic and everything. But yeah, I've never had a scary moment on a board, and I think it's the same with everything. If it's done with good intention and with respect, then I can't see anything why anything bad would happen.
No, no, definitely. And when
Mm.
you begin an investigation, you're going to a location, how do you start your investigation? Do you go in with an introduction of who you are, what you're going to be doing there?
Yeah.
Can you sort of walk us through how you start your investigations for the evening or the day?
Yeah, well, we the first thing we do would be introduce ourselves to spirit. The way I see it is, if you wouldn't walk into a room full of people and just start going, "How old are you?" But we tell them why we're here. So we're here in love and light. We're interested to hear your story, to know what you did when you were here, and then we'd go around and say our names, and just sort of let them know that we're not here to harm you. Explain what the equipment is or how they can communicate with us, so that they can understand what we're asking of them.
Mm,
Yeah, and just let them know that we're there as friends, and we just want to hear a little bit more about what
about
they
their
have to
story.
say. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think that's the main thing of what we aim to do is
Mm.
because we do a lot of events as well. And
Yeah.
our way of doing it is we want to educate people on this is the real paranormal. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, as we've said before, it could be very dead, but showing them how they can communicate without being afraid of communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's showing the lighter side of it. Um, and with that, you know, again, a lot of people have different beliefs when it comes to the paranormal and religion. You know, do you have any kind of like, do you do any kind of prayers? I know some people like to do a prayer before an investigation. They do cleansing afterwards. You know, so many different things. But do you do anything like that to keep yourself grounded, or you know what? Or do you just go in and introduce yourself and then go for it?
Yeah, I don't protect myself because again I think everything is down to intention. So in my head, I know that I don't want anything to follow me home, and I always say if it followed me home, my house is a madhouse, so it'd follow me home and it'd go no thanks, and it'd walk out again. So I've got no worries there. It's fine. But no, I don't carry any crystals or protect myself at all because I just the intention is there. I know that I'm there in love, light, and respect. I don't want anything to follow me home. So it's all the intention is all there. It's all there in my head. So I feel that is all I need. And so far, so good.
Yeah, touch wood. You
Touch
know,
wood.
nothing like that happens again. You know, it's again, it is great. You know, but again, it's so good to see so many people have their different ways.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
because we tend to do a lot of the people that come with us, they like to do the big ball of light, you know, that
Yeah.
gives them that sort of protection. But then
Yeah.
again, I've spoken to investigators over the years, and they sometimes feel when you're doing that sort of thing, you're putting a veil in front of you to
Yeah.
actually miss potential evidence and miss, because you're
Yeah.
putting that protection where you're creating a boundary between us and the spirit
Yeah.
world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's the case as well, that we're causing that wall in a way?
Sometimes I know some people carry quite a lot of like black obsidian and stuff on them to protect them, and I do think sometimes it might repel any possible communication. So I think it's best just to have the intention in your head because that is what it's all about really, and just have the intention there, good intentions all the time, positive, and then I think you're good to go. But
Yes.
if it makes if it makes someone feel better, and makes them feel comfortable, then if you want to say a prayer or do the bubble around you and that, if that's it's all about feeling comfortable with what you're doing as
Mm.
well. So if you feel more comfortable having that bubble around you or the light around you or what saying a prayer, then that's what you need to do. So again, there's no right or wrong. It's however you feel comfortable. Definitely.
Yeah, I think you're correct. It's respecting people as individuals and what
Yeah.
they feel comfortable, and they're going to get the most out of what they're doing by
Yeah.
making themselves comfortable. But then
Definitely.
again, a lot of the investigations that we tend to carry out is in the night, you know,
Yeah.
because I think it sort of elevates our senses because of the dark and everything. But
Mhm.
have you ever investigated during the day at all and still got the same kind of responses as you would get in the evenings?
Yeah, I've done a few daytime investigations at a local abandoned RAF base right close to where I live.
Oh, wow.
It is disappearing. They're knocking it all down soon. It's really sad because over the last few years, you could just wander on, and I've spent hours and hours there. So sometimes just exploring, sometimes investigating, and I've done quite a few daytime investigations there, and they have been just as active as nighttime ones. Definitely.
No, no. And you know, when you're building up rapport with these locations, so you said that the RAF base that you've been to a few times, do you feel that you pick up a certain spirit that you know who's communicating with you?
Yeah, there is a spirit there. He was shot. He's in one of the accommodation blocks there in this particular room. He always comes through, and he always tells me that the same thing. And it comes up on. I'm not a lover of apps, but always on a Spirit Talker app or something, will come up with shot, and he was shot in his left shoulder.
Mm,
And he was left for too long before they found him. That's what we always get through, and he always comes through whenever we go there. So yeah,
that's
quite often you'll get there's a spirit at Sharnbrook Mill Theatre in Bedford as well, down in the cellar, and he always seems to come through. The same spirit, sort of as if to say, "Oh, you're back again," and he'll come through. It's quite
Yeah.
nice.
And do you think that's because we've built trust, like with the spirits? Because, I can say sometimes when we go to certain locations that we've been to a number of times, you
Mm,
sort of, when you start getting responses, you sort of think, okay, this is the same spirit that we've had time and time again. You
yeah,
know, it's like when you meet someone for the first time, you've sort of got your guard up until you get to know
yeah,
them. Do you think
yeah,
that's the same with spirits? Because there's been times that we've gone to a location for the first time and
mm,
we've not really got anything. But then when we've gone back again, it's
yeah,
sort of things start to gradually change. Do you think that's
yeah,
that's them coming out of the shadows in a way of not being so shy and start saying, well, do you know what? We're starting to trust you. So let me
yeah,
give you a little bit of a response now.
yeah. I think so, because I think they are just us, aren't they? They were people. So the fact that they're on a different earth plane now doesn't mean they're any different really to what they were when they were here. So it's the same as us. You sort of feel a bit nervous first of all, don't you? And if someone barges into your house or whatever and starts talking to you, you might think, oh, hang on a minute, and sort of hide away. But then when they come back, you think actually they're actually quite friendly and they're being respectful. So I'll start saying hello and talking to them, and then you sort of build up that sort of rapport with them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's like my wife, she'll go in and they'll start saying, would you like a cup of tea or would you like a cigarette, relating to him in that sort of
yeah,
way, and sometimes they get responses from it and it's quite
yeah.
amazing. Like, okay, maybe they just want to sit down and have a cup of tea with you, don't they? And just,
Exactly. Yeah,
be treated like they're still there. But then
yeah,
when you look at we talk about residual energies and things like that, and
mm,
certain spirits that are replaying a moment. So again, they've had a traumatic death where it was sudden, and people are saying that certain spirits are getting like they're in a loop.
yeah.
Is that because they don't realize they've passed on, in your opinion, or is it because they're just trying to figure out what's happened? What do you think when it comes to sort of scenarios like that?
I do think that it is possible that some spirits don't realise they're dead. Maybe if they died suddenly, if they weren't ill, and they died suddenly in an accident or something, it may be that they don't realise they're dead. Very possible. Yeah,
And do you
yeah.
think we're able to break that cycle, like make them realize? And like, have you ever come into that sort of situation where you've been able to communicate them and make them realize that they're not part of that moment anymore and they've actually passed on?
Um, I, no, I've never sort of. I've been in a situation where we come across a little girl who was lost. She
Oh
was looking
wow!
for her mum, and we sent her over. That was super emotional. The whole team was crying. It was really really hard.
Especially if you're
Um,
a parent as well. You
exactly.
you can
Yeah.
you could just imagine like the mother's side of
Yeah.
it as well, the
Yeah.
little girl. And so yeah,
Yeah.
can you run us through what happened and how you realised it was a little girl and how you helped?
Yeah. It was at Sharnbrook Mill Theatre in Bedford.
Mm.
And we started communicating with this little girl, and she was sort of saying she was sad. We were using a few different methods. We were using pendulum, spirit board, mediumship, a few different things sort of combined. And she was saying she was sad, and then we got through to. Um, she sort of said she was looking for her mum. um, Everyone could sort of feel the energy, and then we used a pendulum, and just asked her to look around, see if she could see a light. She looked around, she said she could see the light, and the pendulum, we were holding it dead still, and it started spinning around. It was spinning around so fast that it was sort of coming almost sort of straight out. It was going
Oh
around so
wow!
fast,
Yeah.
and you could see, like, I was holding it, and absolutely, to make it move like that, you would have to be like really spinning it round. um and it was going mad, and I kept saying to her, just look for the light, keep walking towards it, don't turn around, don't look back, just walk towards it. And then eventually the pendulum, from spinning right out really really far, it literally just stopped dead, and then
Wow.
everybody just cried. it was it was the atmosphere just completely changed. It's like everything just dropped. And yeah, it was really, really hard. That was. Afterwards, we didn't do any more investigating because it was too heavy. You know, it was too much.
It must have been
So
emotional to,
it was really,
you
really
know,
hard. Yeah,
especially when you think sometimes what is it like, especially for a child spirit, you know, if
yeah,
there is it as scary as, and we can say sort of related to what we see on TV,
yeah.
um, like the American show, what's it called, Ghost Whisperers. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. No.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. She sees spirits, and there was one
Right.
particular little boy. He died in a. He was in the car, and the train hit the car, and he died in the
Wow.
accident. And he was saying that he was always at the railway where he died, saying that
Yeah.
he's just waiting for his mummy to find him. And
Oh.
you can
Yeah.
sort of feel the emotion. So
Yeah.
you know, to actually experience that,
Yeah.
it's got to pull on the heartstrings. And yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
it's, it's,
Yeah.
it's it is actually quite emotional just to think of spirits just
It
lost
is.
and around
Yeah.
sometimes and not
Yeah.
realizing. But with other spirits as well, you know, again, we communicate with similar spirits. You know, we think we build rapport. Do you
Yeah.
think they're stuck here, or do you think they choose to stay?
I,
Again, when they pass, do you think they get the options of what they want to do, or they roam freely?
I, I, I like to think that they roam freely and have a choice when they go over to where they need to be. But then I like to think that they can just come back freely. That it's it's so hard. But then I often think, when I'm talking to spirit, I do often think, are we talking to spirit, or is it just, or are we spirit? Are they the future? And also, are they just in a different time zone to us? So I do wonder if they are actually the past.
Mm.
That's sort of
It,
something,
it
always goes
it
through my mind.
it does open up like the thoughts of different realms. Are we communicating
Yeah,
for someone that's in the future and we're actually in the
yeah,
past? And
yeah,
are we actually haunting them instead of
yeah,
them haunting us? It sort of opens
exactly.
up such a
Yeah,
wide range of, you know, what is
yeah,
actually going on. And
yeah,
we think, you know, this what makes me laugh about the film. You hear people say that we're an expert in this, but
yeah.
really, are we actually experts in this? Because there's so much out there that we really
No,
don't know
yeah,
about. You know,
no,
it's
no
like,
one can be an expert. It's just too unknown and deep, isn't it, to be an expert? It's
no.
yeah,
You know, and then again, like you're saying, are they investigating us because
yeah,
we're in the past and they're actually,
yeah,
and we don't realize, do we?
exactly. Yeah,
It's the word of
yeah,
the unknown, and that's in a
yeah,
way that's quite cool to think of it like that,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But then I've also seen loads of people doing different experiments, and there was one particular one that really did intrigue me. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called the Philip experiment. It was basically university students. I think they were doing psychology,
Right.
and they were looking into the paranormal. And they said they come up with the idea of sitting in a group, and
Yeah,
they basically put together. They made up a person, their lifespan from when they were born,
yeah.
the name and everything. And then they did a paranormal investigation based on that person that they made up. And then they
Right.
claimed that they were getting responses relating to what they've written on this board. Do
Oh
you think
wow.
that's possible that you can just conjure up a spirit, or do you think that they were bringing up something that was just manipulating what they want to hear?
Yeah, that's a really hard one, isn't it? I don't know because you could say, were they, thinking of things and conjuring up this pretend spirit, or were they the name and the age and all these things that they were sort of making up about this spirit, where that was that put into their head by spirit, that like
Or
where
did
did
they
those
open up a
thoughts?
portal? Did they
Yeah.
open up a portal to bring something that is able to manipulate what they want to see? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
asked a few people. I think that I can't remember how I come across it. Oh no, I was speaking to a guy called David. He's the caretaker of Robert the Doll. Have you ever heard that
Oh,
story of him?
Yeah,
and
I
he
have.
was sort of explaining it, and then he showed me this clip, and they literally started getting
Wow.
responses from equipment. But then it made me think,
Yeah.
because as a paranormal investigator, I'm like, well, you can't just make up a spirit. Surely that's not
No,
something that you can do.
no,
We're
exactly.
communicating to something from the past, not something that we make up. And I was just
Yeah,
interested to see from another paranormal investigator their point of view, and if you think that is something that they've done, and they've just, because they've made it up in their head, it's become real to them. What do
yeah.
you think?
I don't know, because I don't know how you, like, if I've got the Teddy. Oh, hang on, this doggy here. Look, hey, this could be Patricia, the spirit of a 74-year-old lady. But then if I've got my equipment out, how how is she? Yeah, like, how are the responses going to come through? So I wonder if spirit would manipulate me to think of that name and age, and then they would use the equipment to communicate. So would the details that I'm going to give my made up spirit, maybe I didn't give the spirit the name and the age and everything. Maybe the spirit was telling
The
it to
spirit would
me
give.
to say, like, so that they can communicate with us. I don't know. That's a really
It's
strange
one of
one,
those
isn't it?
head scratching moments, isn't
It
it?
is.
Like that,
Absolutely,
it
yeah.
really makes you think about, you know, is
Yeah,
that possible? But like you said,
yeah,
could they have come up with the name Phil because actually something it has told them to come up with that name now,
exactly.
Phil,
Yeah,
and they've sort of been guided all the way through without
yeah,
realizing.
yeah,
But then, is it
exactly.
possible that they can do it with a big group of people? Because
Mm,
again, with spirits, when they communicate, we say that they're using a lot of their energy, and then it becomes, as they start to back away, is because they've not got enough energy to continue
yeah. Mm.
communicating. So, do you think it's possible that one spirit could do it with a big group of people in one sitting?
Oh, I mean, if there's a big group of people, there's going to be a lot of energy.
Hmm,
So there's a lot of energy for the spirit to use. So possible. And some spirits are a lot stronger than others anyway. Sometimes you can get, a spirit that seems very, very weak, and then other times you've got a spirit that's like just full of energy,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
and you can
It,
feel that energy.
it was just something that intrigued me, and I just wanted to get someone else's
Yeah,
perspective of it. And
yeah.
again, I sort of get the same response. It's like one of those head
It's
scratching
like,
moments, and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I've even thought about maybe when I go to another location, maybe we should try it and just see what
yeah,
happens, and
yeah.
see if it works. But
That's interesting. I'm going to be scratching my head for ages now on that one.
it's just like something very different that I've seen,
Yeah.
and it was just interesting to hear it from you and what your thoughts
Mm.
are. But with locations, do you have a favorite location that you like to investigate, and why?
Oh, favorite location. Oh, that's quite difficult. True Crime Museum that I went to on the 1st of March. Um, that was an awesome location. We're going back there in August for a sleepover. So we're going to do from 5 o'clock in the evening until 9 o'clock the next morning, lock in. So that's going
Wow.
to be a cracker. I can't wait for that one. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really weird stuff in there, from murderers, heavy, but then it's also in smugglers' caves. So you've also got the history of the caves, and it was also stored like underneath
Wow.
cave storage for when there was a hotel above it. So there's a lot of different layers of history there. So, and some attachments on the items that are stored in there as well.
Yeah.
So,
A bit like what was it? We're doing one, the Haunted Antiques Museum in Hinckley.
oh yeah, that's
And
a great. I went there a couple of weeks ago.
we did it, and some of the stuff there, the one room that I didn't like was the dolls room. It really did unsettle
Yeah,
me, like seeing all these
yeah,
eyes. Just, are they following you? Are they following
yeah,
you?
yeah.
But no, yeah. So the True Crime Museum. And is there a location that you've been to where you felt really uncomfortable that you wouldn't go back to? or would you challenge anything that makes you
No,
feel uncomfortable?
I would always go back. There is only one location that I've been to that scares me or has scared me, but I do keep returning, and that is another local one to me, and it is an abandoned RAF building. It's not the large airbase that I mentioned earlier. This is it's a small satellite and radar building, um, just literally just up the road in the next village to me, and my daughter and I went there alone to investigate. We looked around it during the day. We went back, thought we'll do an investigation here, and we went live, and everything was going well. But then we started to hear things and see things, which was being confirmed by people. And then everyone agreed the energy had changed, and it got reeky to the point where we just grabbed equipment and ran back several times. And even now, it scares me there. There's just something that, and I've never been scared. I've been to so many places and never felt scared. But at this little place right near my house, I feel really scared. I don't know why. Because it I've lived here all my life. I know the area,
Mm.
I know the place, but I'm scared in there.
Do you think
It's
it's
weird.
because do you think it's because you're scared, or you're being given the feelings of past, people that have gone into the RAF? Because back in the day, a lot of them were quite young, weren't they? And they're
Yeah,
barely out of school. They've barely lived a life, and they've been thrown in at the
yeah.
deep end, saying, "This is what you're going to do. You could lose your life because of it." So, do you think it's possible that you're not actually scared as yourself, but there's a spirit there that's scared of what they've gone through, and that's why you're feeling it?
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how. I know I have the feeling of being scared, so I'm not sure. I mean, it was used for a short time as a very small burns unit as well
Oh
for
wow.
soldiers that had been burnt. So I mean, maybe I'm feeling some of that. I just feel so uneasy in there, and it's quite active as well, which is yeah, it makes it really sort of ooh.
and you say you do this with your daughter as well. um
Yeah,
and
even Evie comes everywhere with me.
oh, that's great. And what, has she just followed in your footsteps because you've been into it? She's just sort of gone along for the ride and sort of built
Yeah,
up that way.
yeah, she was at 12 when she came on her first investigation,
Wow,
and I
12.
was obviously very careful sort of where I took her. She a very, very anyone that knows her will know she's a very old. She's nearly 6 foot tall. She's very
Wow.
grown up for her age, and she was very interested. So I took her somewhere who was going to be safe, not scared for a young child, and to be honest, I don't think she's ever missed one since then, and she's now nearly 16 now. So yeah, and she loves it. She's a really good investigator.
Yeah, and the thing is, we took our son for the first time, I think 2 months ago, and he really
Mm.
enjoyed it. Do you think it's because a lot of people, again, have a very split feelings about younger kids getting involved, but if it's in the right environment and you're controlling it in the right way, it's just as us going on an investigate. We're just teaching, how they can get involved and do things the right way, isn't it? It's not we go in and
Yeah,
we're there summon up demons and we're doing these
no,
chants to
exactly.
get all these evil spirits. It's actually
Yeah,
educate. It's all about educating people. That's the way I see
yeah,
an investigation. You're educating people that want to be involved, but we just sort of guide them and show how
yeah,
we tend to do
exactly. Yeah, and I home educate my children, so this is great home education.
it.
And Evie does, Evie does a lot of the research when we get home as well. But I think, to be honest, I'd rather her be out investigating with me than doing what some young people do at weekends, and hanging out, getting into a bit of trouble, and whatever young people do these days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she's with me. She's doing something she really enjoys. She has a laugh and a joke, but she's sensible, and she's interested. It's a hobby, and she enjoys it as long as she's not being too silly, you know, and messing about too much during vigils. And you know, children like that obviously need to wait until they can sit and be sensible when they need to be. But I don't think there should be an age limit. I think it's because, you know, I know some 16-year-olds. I think, oh, I wouldn't take them out. Oh, I think it depends on how interested they are. Um, if they're not too scared, you know, and it depends on each individual child, I
Mm.
think. But I think it's a good
Yeah.
thing,
When
definitely.
we took our son, you know, I'll be honest, I was ready to get back in the car and then take him home. I thought it would last about 5 minutes, you know, but it was
Yeah,
more of a case of, you know, when people started asking, well, what was it like taking your son? You know, what did you do? And
mm,
we explained. He sat
yeah,
there and he literally was asking about the equipment that we use, how it works, what's the
yeah,
point of it, you know, and then he started doing,
yeah.
and he claims to have seen a full body apparition in the tunnels, like, and he said,
Wow.
and he
Yeah,
described it to it like the head come over and then you can see it leaning on the wall. But then again,
yeah,
you know, I think using younger people is a good thing because a lot of them have
yeah.
the ability to see things that we, you know, and I think it's
Exactly.
because they're
Yeah,
pure of energy, like pure of who they are. And I
yeah,
think we're closing the opportunity for them to really see the truth of the paranormal. What do you think when it comes to? Because a lot of the times kids say that they have a make believe friend, but again, now going through the
yeah,
paranormal, it makes me think, well, is it make believe or is it because they're so pure that they can see things that we don't?
yeah. Yeah, no, I think children do see more, like you and I both saw a full-bodied apparition when we were
Hmm.
younger, you know, and I think if you speak to a lot of people I know have seen an apparition when they were younger, because I think you're more, like you say, pure and open, and I think you are more likely to see things when you're younger. So to take that and to use that energy is, I think, it's a brilliant thing. And I think, if you know, if any children are interested, rather than them dabbling in stuff that you know, and doing things they shouldn't, or doing them that, I know there's no wrong way, but doing things
Like going to a local
not
cemetery with a
safe,
spirit
or
board
you
and
know,
then doing it without any
yeah,
guidance.
exactly,
That's, you know,
yeah,
you're playing a
yeah,
dangerous
yeah.
game there,
If
aren't
they're
you?
interested, exactly. If they're interested, take them and guide them, and just show them how you do things, and then they'll learn from you, and then yeah, they can do whatever they
Yeah,
want, then,
and
can't
do you know
they?
what? And it could,
I think it's
and
brilliant.
like I said, it's not just about the paranormal investigation because I know you like a lot of your history as well, don't you? And you do
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on road trips around the UK, you know, looking for, you know, history, building on that.
yeah,
Is there a particular
yeah,
like time period that you like to look into?
yeah.
The Tudors,
The
oh,
Tudors for
the
me.
Henry VIII and
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm obsessed with Henry VIII. I know he was a bit of an evil man, but like the Henry VIII and his wives are just. I love to do research and go anywhere. Like Hampton Court Palace is my most absolute favourite place to be. I could spend hours and hours and well days and weeks and years at Hampton Court
Mm.
Palace. And that is my top place to investigate. If I could ever get in there to investigate, that would just be my dream come true. That is of the whole world. That is the place I would like to go and
It,
investigate.
that
Definitely.
would be cool to go and
Yeah.
investigate. Just stepping backwards, I think Andy's just touching on what we were just talking about the kids and you know how they are, and he's put
Yeah.
it's programmed out of us by parents and society. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. I think
Absolutely.
society is a big thing there, isn't it? You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people. Well, not so much now, but back in the day, it was frowned upon to suggest that you're going out to looking
Yeah.
for a ghost or connect with a spirit. But
Yeah.
there's been a massive, well, there was a massive shift forward where people are more open to it now. And in your opinion,
Yeah.
is that they're more open to it because of what we see on TV that is opening people's eyes? Or now there's a lot more reports that people are experiencing more in the paranormal. You know, why do you think things have shifted to it's more acceptable to say I go out and search for ghosts?
To be honest, I do think it is TV, even though I know some of the TV programs. I mean, to be honest, I don't watch TV really. I'm aware of like there's Help My House is Haunted, and I'm aware of a few of the programs that are on, but I don't watch any TV, so I don't really know. Yeah, I know they're a bit tongue in cheek, some of
Then
them.
I think that's good for you, then,
But I
isn't it?
do
Because you're not
think,
influenced in any way to investigate what
yeah,
you see
yeah,
on TV. Because I think sometimes people take the
yeah,
wrong sort of, information from TV, and then they go into it. So
right,
your
yeah,
investigation is based on purely of what you've learned, and you're not influenced by anything on social
yeah,
media. Then, which is great for you, then, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I watched as a child was Most Haunted. I think everybody, hands up, everybody watched Most
It
Haunted.
was
Yeah,
the show back in the
exactly.
day, though, wasn't it? That was the one
It
for,
was.
you know, I think everyone can be honest and say that was the one that, you know, this was great. Everything was great about Most Haunted.
Yeah,
And then suddenly you grow
yeah.
up and then you start realizing that, no, it isn't great. It's actually,
It's not like
it's a
that.
lot
Yeah,
different, isn't it? And it really does, it's like you've been
absolutely.
missold, what you thought the
Yeah,
paranormal was about.
definitely.
And then it just
Yeah,
changed it so negatively, and then
yeah,
now we're in an industry where people are trying to do it the right way, but then you've always got those people that
yeah,
jump and say fake, no, not true, you're this, and
yeah,
then it gets so
exactly.
personal as well, and that's what I
Yeah.
say. Yes, TV is good at some parts, but then I think it has damaged the paranormal a hell of a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's opened it up so people, like you say, it's not so weird that you go out and investigate the paranormal, because people go, "Oh yeah, there's programs on," and I think that's made it not such a weird, strange thing to do. But I also think it has ruined it a lot. Um, yeah, if I always say to Evie, if me and Evie were out investigating and we were like, "Oh, there's a full-bodied apparition," and we saw it walking up the stairs, and then it spoke to us and walked away. If I went away and told people that, or put it on my Facebook page, you know that 9 out of 10 people are going to go,
Hmm?
rubbish, fake. You think, but I saw it. So I do think it, because there is a lot of fake on certain programs, and a lot of taps and bangs that may have come from something else. I think you get a lot of people thinking, oh well, it's made up because that's how they do it on TV. So I think it has damaged it quite a
Yeah,
lot.
I agree totally. It's done good, but it's done wrong as well. But then again, I also
Yeah,
have a third, like a second category that I put people in. Well, there's three: the non-believers, the believers, but then the people that are scared to believe. And that's why they,
yeah,
because
yeah,
again, it's sort of, you're walking into the unknown, and a lot of people, if you're not had any kind of experience in the past like we've had, or
yeah,
they're scared of it. So a lot of the times when you're scared of something,
yeah,
your natural instinct says, well, stay away from it and never investigate. So I think that's the other side of it. People are negative because they're too scared to delve into the
yeah,
unknown.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I think that's the
yeah,
other part of it.
yeah,
But then you also touched briefly about ITC apps. This is something
yeah,
that's come into play a lot now. You've got Spirit
yeah.
Tracker, you've got Necrophonic, you've even got the Ghost Tube for the SLS camera. Your opinion with apps, do they work or do they not work? So,
Um, I do have some interesting things come from them. My favourite is a program rather than an app, and that's Phasmabox. You
okay,
can get the program on a Windows tablet or laptop.
cool.
So that it has no internet connection. It doesn't use your microphone or your location or anything like that. And that is awesome. I love using that. Apps I'll only download if they don't ask for access to your microphone or your location, because I think, why do they need a microphone and a location? Um, that they're okay. Sometimes, like, you always get where are my ashes on Spirit Talker, and it comes up like most investigations, and like some of the things I think, I don't know, but then some of the stuff we've had come through has been really relevant.
Mm.
So I think they're very hit and miss, but I certainly wouldn't say they were sort of solid evidence. but I think they can perhaps just be in addition to an investigation.
No, I agree as well, because again, it's one of those things that I try and say, is it just throwing out words? Is it listening, or is it playing on a
Mm.
loop? Because sometimes you can get the same sort of
Yeah.
voice come through doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And again, it's really hard to say what is real and what isn't when it comes to the apps, isn't
Yeah.
it? You've got to be,
Yeah.
because I do believe sometimes it can throw out a false positive.
Yeah.
And you just got to be very mindful, haven't you, when you're
Yeah.
putting paranormal down to it.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
but that's great. Um, you know, again, with yourself, the way I like to end the show is always asking my guests what do they have coming up. So, have you got any lives planned that people can head over to your page and check out what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I go live at every investigation when signal allows, which nine
Yes.
times out of 10 it does. So yeah, pretty much every Saturday night I'll be out. I'm not out this Saturday night because I'm going for the long trip to Petersfield to pick up the mystery machine. So I'll not be live this Saturday night, but generally on a Saturday night I'll be live. I've got Derby Jail coming up with Tracy and Andy Linden, who were on a second ago, Conjure
Mm.
Quest. So I can't wait for that one.
That's a
Richard
great
Felix will be
location
there
as well.
too.
We've been
Yeah,
there,
I've
and
not
it's a
been yet.
really
I've not
cool.
been.
Have you not
Oh,
been?
brilliant. No, I can't wait.
You know what would be great is if anything happens, if you can send me a message, say this happened, and
Yeah.
then we can relate because we went and some cracking stuff happened. So it'd be great
Oh,
to
yeah.
see if
Yeah.
yours is sort of like we can sort of mirror what you've
Yeah.
experienced. So that'd be quite cool
Yeah.
to do
Excellent.
that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Definitely.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so you got that coming up as well then. And
Yep.
what I will do afterwards, I will put Emily's social media page on the comments. So if you want to go and give her a follow, if you haven't followed her yet, give her a follow, watch what she does, some cracking stuff. And then you also post stuff about history as well, don't you? Again,
Yeah.
because you like your history. So if you
Yeah.
guys are into your history, you can also check that out as well. But no, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us a bit of an insight of the
No
stuff that
worries.
you've done. And then maybe in the future, especially after Derby Gull, we can
Yeah.
bring you back on and see what's going on in the paranormal for you, what's changed, and
Yeah.
yeah, just do a follow up. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been absolutely
Thank you.
great to meet you. And yeah, definitely would love to keep in touch and
Yeah.
see what happens going forward for you, Emily.
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much. I'll just put you in the back.
Okay.
But thank you so much. You're absolutely great and look forward to chatting to you soon.
Thank you.
No worries. So, another great addition to the podcast, bringing on another paranormal investigator. See what they believe. Do they believe the same as what we do? What's different between what they do to what we do? So, it's absolutely great that we are networking with so many people. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone that is always supporting us, what we're doing with our events, with the podcast. It means so much to see so many people interacting. If you're not following Portal to the Paranormal, please do head over, give us a like, a follow, and also with YouTube. And if you're not following Emily, I will put her link in the description afterwards. Please go and give her a page a follow as well and follow her journey into the paranormal. But for now, I'm just going to say my goodbyes. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Abby, if you are still watching, everyone at Portal sends all our love to you, and we hope you feel better and you'll be home soon. But again, everyone, have a great weekend, and we will see you real soon. Take care, everyone.